Matt, the Ottawa Senators with another tough loss last night in Anaheim. They are now 1-9-1 in their last 11. They've lost 4 straight. I could go on with all the numbers that don't point in a very good direction. This is a team in disarray, to say the least.
Yeah, disarray is an understatement. And as a former player, I always like to downplay a situation when things aren't going very well. I'd like to think that it's not as bad as everyone's making it out to be, particularly the media. But I mean, we can't ignore this. This is a problem. It is, and
yeah.
As much as I like to have their backs, when you're not winning games, people start to get upset, and they're just not clicking, right? Like we're seeing shades of it, and we saw Noodles talk a little bit about that prior to the game, where they're not able to compete and put together a full 60. Again, I hate saying. I hate using cliches, but that full 60 minutes is significant. You're getting really long spurts where they're looking really good. They're involved in the game. They're playing with the lead in many occasions, and then they blow it. Is it a lack of depth? Is it poor acquisitions in the offseason? Maybe not significant enough veterans that they're not grabbing, that they're not going out after. Is it the scouting? Is it the management? Is it the coaching? There's a million questions that people start asking when teams are struggling. Right now, internally, if you're the team, if you're the captain, if you're in the leadership group, you're going to be having these discussions with the group. You're going to be saying in the locker room, boys, nobody's coming out to rescue us. Nobody's feeling sorry for us. We have to figure it out right now. And jobs become at stake, right? I mean, this is a big problem where when you're involved in a losing culture like that, it can affect your livelihood. Like they start shipping out players, and the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So they have to figure it out, Wally, and they have to figure it out very, very soon.
So 4-13-1, and sometimes you see teams when are in, I guess, a funk, you start to see them work their way out. You can see signs, but they still lose games. We're not seeing that right now in Ottawa. No. We're seeing a team right now against Anaheim that had no life whatsoever. They played some pretty entertaining hockey this season. This was not it.
Yeah, well, they didn't score. They're shut out again. And we're seeing a trend now where they're getting scored on, 3, 4, at least 5 goals a game on any given night. So defensively, that just tells me that they're a mess. And that's the first thing that sticks out. Obviously, I'm biased, but you're not going to win any games that way. And you can blame the goaltending. You can blame the defense core. You can blame the lack of depth up front. I just think you've got all these variables that create this perfect storm, and it's going against them. And it's not from lack of effort. I mean, we're seeing guys like Brady, Austin Watson, they're dropping the gloves. They're putting themselves in uncomfortable situations to try to kind of jolt the group up, and it's not working. So I feel for them. I've been there. Back in my Columbus days, we were in similar situations where things aren't going well. The mood in the room sucks. This is something that they're going to have to figure out, because the heat's going to start pouring on now from the fan base and from the media.
Well, the heat is clearly on, and you talk about veterans paying the price. Well, one is now paying the price. That's Matt Murray, who's been placed on waivers. Obviously, he has struggled. He hasn't won a game this season. He hasn't played well since he got here. Who wears this right now? Is this DJ Smith? Is this who brought in Zach Burke, who replaced Pierre Groulx as the goalie coach? Is this on Pierre Dorian, who brought him in and signed him to a monster deal? Is this on Eugene Melnyk, who would have had to agree to bring him in? How does this play out, and who wears? I think DJ Smith has gone, you know what? Enough's enough, Pierre. I'm not playing him. So you decide what to do with him, because he's not going to be in my lineup right now.
So you think, so you think there's a bit of that going on?
Well,
maybe a little bit of a disagreement?
Why are you putting a guy on waivers that is supposed to be your number one goalie? So you're going to give him up potentially for nothing? That's a power move. That says, you know what? I'm not playing him. So Pierre, you got to do something with him.
Right. Well, that was my biggest takeaway. I understand you're trying to send a message, and when you're making as much as Matt Murray is, of course, that comes with responsibility, and you have to perform, and you're the number one guy. So you have to wear that. But my issue first of all, with throwing them on waivers on the road like that, that's tough. And again, I know that, maybe that's hypersensitive, and this is a business, and the business is winning games, but there's also professionalism. And I question that a little bit. And then of course you're devaluing, your asset by throwing them on waivers that way without trying to move them.
How are you going to trade him now? You're going to have to eat contract, and you're going to have to take another bad contract back, because just placing him on waivers goes, we tried to move him and we can't. So this is the only option we had left.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing here. Right. And I know a first-class guy. I've
Yes.
only ever heard good things about Matt Murray.
Fantastic.
Really
individual.
quiet. Yeah, exactly. And he's very professional. You probably know him better than I do. And so I don't like it, but what do you do? I mean, the team can't win right now. So this is what happens when you go on a skid like this. And I mentioned that earlier, dominoes start to fall. And, typically that goes towards the coach. In this case, the coach has just been re-signed. And I do like a lot of the stuff he does bring. And I was under the impression that the team does respond very well to DJ. But to me, and I've said this from day one, Wally, it's just a lack of depth. And now you don't have Batherson and Pinto in your line. They're already thin to begin with. This just goes to show you how fragile the group is. And now when you're missing a couple big guys, I mean, where you're looking around, who's going to contribute? Who's going to score some goals? You're not going to score any goals. You're not going to win any games. Like I said, you can blame the defense score, you can blame the goaltending, but you need some offense right now, and they're not getting it. So it's a perfect storm. It's working against them, and they're going to have a hell of a time trying to get out of it.
You can't score if you're always playing in your own end and running around. And that's what I'm hearing a lot of. You're the defensive guy. So you tell me what system they're playing right now, because a lot of people are saying they have no idea.
Yeah, I saw that Steve Lloyd tweet. It was pretty good, where he mentioned he couldn't identify what their defensive system is right now. I'll tell you the truth. I don't know either. But typically when you're not really deep back there, nothing really, you'll never really catch any trends, right? And I'm, as a next player, when I'm doing analyst work, I'm always looking for trends, right? So what are they wrong? And can I identify that from shift to shift? It's the lack of miscues. Sorry, it's the constant miscues on all the assignments, right? So,
Right.
The turnovers behind the net. You saw one of the goals where
What was this?
Thompson or what?
Josh Norris is just holding the puck there.
Yeah, it was the Norris. Sorry, it was Norris behind the net, and they didn't have a plan, right? And that was off a D zone draw where there was a big chance against. Then it goes back up top with Anaheim. Then they get it back down low. Norris goes to get the puck. And it just seems like everyone's on, kind of lost. And Shabby goes to the far side, which is actually fine. I don't mind him cutting across to be an opening. But then, of course, Norris makes a little bit of a turnover. It goes to net front. Anaheim scores. That encapsulates defensively where the group is at right now. And they're in desperate need for some serious structure. And I think you just got to just break everything down and simplify it. Have a couple go-to plays and stick with them. Even if it's a D zone 1 draw and your defense gets to the puck first, just rim the puck. Make sure you're sending your winger far side straight to the defenseman on the blue line. Create a turnover if you can, get the puck out. Like they got to start simplifying stuff. I don't know what the system they're running is, but it's not working.
One of the things they do need right now is a goaltender to steal them a game. We'll see if that can happen here
in
in the near future.
Yeah.